Do you remember the vibrant rock tunes and witty banter in the WKRP radio station office in Cincinnati? From 1978 to 1982, this comedy show captured the hearts of audiences with its unforgettable characters, such as the rebellious Johnny Fever and the alluring Jennifer Marlowe. But behind the glitz and glamour of laughter lay dark secrets. Many of the show's talented stars died in grief, tormented by illness, scandal, and unforeseen tragedies. In this video, we'll explore the stories of the WKRP and Cincinnati cast members who have passed away, honoring their brilliant yet haunting legacy. Gordon Jump as Arthur Carlson. Alexander Gordon Jump, born April 1, 1932, was an American actor best known for his role as Arthur Big Guy Carlson, the clumsy but sincere radio host in the hit comedy series WKRP in Cincinnati, from 1978 to 1982. At the time, he was 46 years old, having brought to life a television icon beloved by millions. But behind the curtain of fame lay a life full of suffering, trauma, and a lonely end. Gordon was a multifaceted talent, from a local television comedian to the lovable, innocent father in sitcoms, from the face of Maytag repairman commercials to the controversial role in Different Strokes, where he played a pedophile, a career risk he took believing it was necessary to awaken public opinion. However, it was the role of Carlson that became a golden cage, trapping him in the image of a kind but helpless father, leading to him being denied other roles, and his career plummeting after WKRP. His personal life was equally chaotic. 2 failed marriages left him with 3 children he never truly bonded with, as he always prioritized business over family. In his later years, he suffered from pulmonary fibrosis, a disease that slowly suffocated him, as if fate itself were tightening its grip on him in silent, suffocating solitude. Gordon Jump passed away on September 22, 2003, at the age of 71. He died at his home near Los Angeles, and was buried at El Toro Memorial Park Cemetery in Lake Forest, California. His net worth at the time was estimated at approximately $1.5 million, primarily derived from his Los Angeles home and vintage radio collection. Frank Bonner as Herb Tarlek. Frank Bonner, whose real name was Frank Woodrow Bors, Jr., born February 28, 1942, was an American actor and director best known for his role as Herb Tarlek, a flamboyant, clumsy, and perpetually out-of-style salesman in the sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati. By the age of 36, Bonner had turned Herb into a sitcom legend, both hilariously funny and tragically endearing, but Bonner's real life was far removed from the humor he brought to the screen. Frank Bonner embodies tragedy hidden behind laughter. Married 4 times, he endured 2 bitter divorces filled with tension and suffering. The deepest wound in his life was the death of his youngest son, Matthew, in a car accident. That pain was like a knife cutting into his soul, plunging him into depression and forcing him to withdraw from the spotlight for a long time. At his home in Laguna Niguel, he lived quietly amidst his collection of WKRP memorabilia, as if clinging to the last glimmers of hope from his golden age. Although he directed several television episodes and reprised the role of Herb in the sequel, the new WKRP, he could not escape the shadow of the man in the white belt, a character that seemed to have become his artistic destiny. He yearned for recognition with more serious roles, but the success of his role as Herb Tarlek became a barrier. In his later years, fate dealt him a cruel curse, Lewy body dementia, a devastating disease that not only withered his body but also slowly erased his memories, his roles, and his self-respect. It was as if destiny wanted him to forget the glorious years that had made him famous. Frank Bonner passed away on June 16, 2021, at his home in Laguna Niguel, California, at the age of 79. The cause of death was complications from Lewy body dementia, a disease that claimed his soul before his body. His final estate was valued at approximately $1 million, including his home and his WKRP memorabilia collection. A silent testament to an artist who once brought laughter to America, but departed into painful oblivion. Howard Hesseman as Dr. Johnny Fever. Howard Hesseman, born February 27, 1940, in Lebanon, Oregon, was an American actor best known for his role as Dr. Johnny Fever, the quirky, rebellious, and charismatic DJ in the hit comedy series WKRP in Cincinnati, from 1978 to 1982. At age 38, Hesseman not only played the role but fully embodied it. He was once a real DJ under the stage name Don Sturdy at KMPX-FM in San Francisco, breathing life into the vibrant character that brought him to the height of fame. But that rebellious spirit also became a trap, imprisoning both his career and his inner life. After the resounding success of WKRP, Hesseman tried to shed his eccentric DJ image to seek more serious acting roles. He made his mark in Head of the Class as history teacher Charlie Moore, a completely different character, intelligent and emotionally rich. But the past still haunts him. He has never escaped the shadow of Johnny Fever. The big opportunities gradually disappeared, leaving him with only recurring cameo appearances and supporting roles. In real life, his 33-year marriage to actress Caroline Ducrotch was tumultuous. They quietly separated and then reunited, had no children, and frequently faced arguments and emotional conflicts. A major shock to his spirit was the sudden death of a close friend and former musical colleague, which plunged him into a deep depression. During the peak of his career, he abused substances, and in later years, he withdrew from public life for extended periods. Hesseman sought peace through painting, writing, and restoring classic cars. His prized car collection at his Los Angeles home became a private sanctuary after a tumultuous creative journey. But that house also became a museum of the past, a quiet refuge for unfinished artistic dreams and a fading brilliance. On January 29, 2022, Howard Hesseman died in Los Angeles at the age of 81 from complications following colon surgery. His death was quiet, a somber end to the life of a talented artist forever associated with the image of the eccentric DJ, who once took American television by storm, only to fade into the shadows of his own fame. He left behind a net worth of approximately $2 million, including his Los Angeles home and a collection of classic cars, silent testaments to the soul of an artist who never truly found peace. Ian Wolfe as Hirsch. Ian Marcus Wolfe, born November 4, 1896, in Canton, Illinois, was one of the most enduringly influential supporting actors in Hollywood history, with over 400 film and television roles spanning 7 decades. At age 85, he played Hirsch, the grumpy but loyal old butler, in a 1981 episode of the WKRP series in Cincinnati. Despite his brief appearance, the role encapsulated the essence of a man who lived his entire life in the shadows of quiet wisdom, restraint, and dignity. Wolfe began his career on Broadway in 1919 and transitioned to film in 1934. From then on, he became a familiar face in classic films such as Mutiny on the Bounty, 1935, Saboteur, 1942, Rebel Without a Cause, 1955, THX 1138, 1971, and Dick Tracy, 1990. Audiences recognized his face in the roles of father, doctor, butler, or wise old man, even when he was only in his early 30s. He was the immortal old man of Hollywood, yet he never landed a leading role or won an Oscar. In real life, his life was even more solitary. Married to Elizabeth Schroeder in 1924, with whom he had 2 daughters. Wolfe spent his final years in isolation in a 2-story house in Los Angeles. The house, filled with rare books and antique furniture, became a quiet fortress where he wrote poetry, read old scripts, and waited for time to pass. His family relationships fractured due to inheritance disputes, and he died in complete solitude, without reconciliation. Despite being respected in theater circles and a medical expert during World War I, Ian Wolfe always felt forgotten by Hollywood. His role as Hirsch in WKRP was his final bright moment, witty, sharp, yet profoundly human, much like the man himself. Ian Wolfe died on January 23, 1992, at the age of 95 from natural causes. There was no elaborate funeral, no lights to bid him farewell. He passed away as he had lived, quietly, steadfastly, and anonymously, leaving a net worth of approximately $600,000 to an art preservation society. An actor who spent his entire life performing, yet never received a leading role, not even in the story of his own life. Ned Wertheimer as Steve Peavy. Ned Wertheimer, born October 27, 1923, in Buffalo, New York, was an American actor best known to television audiences for his role as Ralph, the polite doorman in the comedy series The Jeffersons. But before achieving fame with that role, he made a brief appearance at age 54 in an episode of WKRP in Cincinnati in 1978. playing Steve Peavy, a small role but one that still showcased his characteristic charm and calm comedic style. Despite a career spanning decades, Ned Wertheimer's life was a solitary one. The loss of his younger brother at a young age caused him to withdraw from social relationships. Despite his fame, he never married and lived alone in a Los Angeles home filled with vintage radios and classic books, a private world few had the chance to enter. He quietly donated to children's charities, perhaps as a way to heal the emotional wounds of his childhood. However, even those acts of kindness could not fill the persistent void in his soul. Despite his fame for his role in The Jeffersons, Wertheimer gradually faded from the Hollywood spotlight in his later years. He felt disillusioned by the lack of significant roles. Ironically, WKRP, a small role in his vast career, became one of the rare moments when he felt truly noticed, however fleeting. In November 2012, he fell in the kitchen of his home in Burbank. The serious injury resulted in a lengthy hospital stay, plunging him into an inescapable state of loneliness. On January 2, 2013, Ned Wertheimer died at a Los Angeles hospital at the age of 89. The cause of death was complications from the fall, a quiet, gentle end that reflected how he had lived his entire life. Max Wright as Frank Bartman. George Edward Max Wright, born August 2, 1943, in Detroit, Michigan, is an American actor who played Frank Bartman in a WKRP episode in Cincinnati in 1982 when he was 39 years old. Although it was only a brief cameo, it was a small step toward the crucial role that shaped his career. Willie Tanner played the lovable suburban dad in the comedy series ALF from 1986 to 1990. But when the spotlight faded, Max Wright's life turned into a long, heartbreaking tragedy. Max embodied the gap between public image and private reality. In the ALF film, he was a patient father to a mischievous alien. In real life, he was a devoted husband to Linda Ibarrando, his partner from 1965 until her death from breast cancer in 2017. But after ALF's fame faded, his world crumbled. In the 2000s, Wright was arrested multiple times for drug use, shattering his image as the exemplary father portrayed on American television. He became estranged from his two children, Ben and Daisy, and lived in isolation in his Hermosa Beach home, which was filled with dilapidated vintage cars, reflecting the chaos in his own life. Despite his past successes on Broadway and Tony Award nominations, Wright carried a deep-seated bitterness. He publicly expressed his disdain for his time on the ALF program, calling it grueling work, and walked off set on the final day without saying goodbye. But years later, as his health declined and he grew weary, he looked back with less anger, acknowledging that ALF had brought so much joy to everyone, a rare moment of peace in a life full of conflict. Max Wright died on June 26, 2019, at the age of 75, from lymphoma, a type of cancer that had recurred after years of remission. He died at the Lillian Booth Nursing Home in New Jersey, a sanctuary for artists in the final chapter of their careers, those who once made audiences laugh but ended their lives in silence. His net worth was estimated at around $1 million, including his home and collection of classic cars, fragments of memories of a life that never truly found its rightful leading role. Carol Bruce Jungvi Lillian Carlson. Carol Bruce, whose real name was Shirley Levy, was born on November 15, 1919, in Manhattan, New York. She appeared on the WKRP in Cincinnati at the age of 59, playing Lillian Carlson, a powerful and sharp-witted radio hostess, embodying a tough woman in the chaotic world of radio broadcasting. But behind her cold gaze and deep voice on screen lay a life of quiet solitude and melancholic regret. Born into a Jewish family, Carol began her singing career in the late 1930s and quickly rose to fame on Broadway, despite lacking formal vocal training. She was the first to succeed Helen Morgan in the legendary role of Julie in the musical Showboat, having been discovered by Irving Berlin at a nightclub. Carol was a true star of the American stage and radio of the mid-20th century, a captivating voice and a respected presence. However, her personal life told a different story. After her marriage to a music executive ended, she raised her daughter Julie alone. A bitter financial dispute in the 1980s shattered their mother-daughter relationship beyond repair. She never remarried, and once confided to the press that fame could never fill the void in her heart. Although her screen comeback as Lillian Carlson was memorable, Hollywood typecast her in roles of cold, strict mothers, an image that ultimately drained her passion for acting. She lived in seclusion in her Woodland Hills, California home, filled with antique jewelry, vintage posters, and handwritten sheet music from her Broadway heyday. But that home offered her no peace. She quietly battled chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, refused interviews, and withdrew from the public spotlight. In her final years, she lived like a shadow, trapped between vivid memories and lingering loneliness. She once described that feeling as the persistent echo of a song that never ends. Carol Bruce died on October 9, 2007, at the Film and Television Hospital and Nursing Home in Woodland Hills, at the age of 87. She was cremated, and her ashes were given to a cousin. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated at approximately $800,000, primarily derived from her home and Broadway memorabilia. Her ultimate legacy is a once brilliant star, now quietly fading into oblivion amidst the unfinished melody of her own life. Alan Ann McCleary as Carmen Carlson. Born on December 1, 1926, in Grande Mère, Quebec, Canada, Alan Ann McCleary was a multi-talented artist, an outstanding actress, singer, and dancer who worked with legends such as Balanchine, Jerome Robbins, and Agnes DeMille. At age 52, she played Carmen Carlson, the calm, attentive wife of Arthur Carlson, in the WKRP in Cincinnati series from 1979 to 1982, appearing in approximately 15 episodes. On screen, Carmen is a source of peace for Big Guy, but McCleary's real life is a somber, quiet symphony. An only child, McCleary lost her father just 4 months before she was born. Raised by her widowed mother in Brooklyn, she began studying dance at a young age and made her Broadway debut before turning 20. Her career flourished with outstanding roles in Calamity Jane, They Shoot Horses, Jeremiah Johnson, and many other popular musicals. But the spotlight could not soothe her deepest pain. The death of her only son, Matthew, from complications related to AIDS. That shock caused her to almost withdraw from acting, retreating to live in seclusion at her home in North Bend, Washington. McCleary's health steadily deteriorated over the years. Alzheimer's disease gradually erased her memories. She disappeared from public view, living quietly with the pain of losing her son and mourning her husband, actor George Gaines, who had passed away 2 years before her. Alan Ann McCleary passed away on May 21, 2018, at her home in North Bend, Washington, at the age of 91. The cause of death was complications from Alzheimer's disease. Her estimated net worth was approximately $700,000, primarily derived from her home and collection of theatrical memorabilia, the last vestiges of a golden age when she captivated Broadway audiences and beyond. Hamilton Camp as Buddy Gravers. Hamilton Camp, whose real name was Robin S. Camp, was born on October 30, 1934, in London, and was evacuated to the United States during World War II with his mother and sister as a child. At age 44, he appeared in a 1978 episode of WKRP in Cincinnati as Buddy Gravers, a quirky, eccentric character with a rich inner life, reflecting the artist's own broken soul. Camp was a multi-talented artist, folk singer, stage actor, television actor, and voice actor. He had a time shining on Broadway, performing with Janis Joplin, writing the classic song Pride of Man, and voicing the legendary Duck Gizmo in the animated series DuckTales. But his real life was a series of ups and downs and hardships. His first marriage to artist Karen Kelly ended in financial crisis, and a bitter custody battle for his 2 children, Nathan and Rachel. The court struggles were filled with tears. His second marriage also ended quietly. He never finalized his divorce and lived alone in a Los Angeles home filled with guitars, mandolins, and untouched memories. After his second wife died in 2002, he fell into a deeper depression, surviving on meager royalties from voice acting and small acting roles. Hollywood had welcomed him, then abandoned him. Despite appearing in popular series like MASH, Cheers, Three's Company, and Star Trek, Camp never received the recognition he deserved. His brief role as Buddy Gravers in WKRP was a fleeting moment, reminding us how easily he can be forgotten. Even the animated characters he voiced, from Merlin to Harmony Smurf, seemed to speak of a soul that only truly existed through its voice. Hamilton Camp died of a heart attack on October 2, 2005, at the age of 70, as if his weary heart had finally succumbed to the weight of grief. He leaves behind 6 children, 13 grandchildren, and an estimated net worth of $500,000, including a quiet Los Angeles home and a collection of antique musical instruments, the final echoes of an artist who always sought the spotlight but lost himself in his own shadow. Nicholas Worth as Major Edmund Hunter. Nicholas Worth, born on September 4, 1937, in St. Louis, Missouri, served 3 years in the United States Army as a paratrooper, an experience that left a profound mark on both his life and his acting career. At age 41, he appeared in a 1,979 episode of WKRP in Cincinnati as Major Edmund Hunter, a stern officer with a firm and authoritative demeanor, perfectly embodying the military qualities honed in his own personality through his real-life military experience. On screen, Nicholas Worth was often cast as terrifying villains, from a necrophiliac killer in Don't Answer the Phone to a cold-blooded rapist in The Rape of Richard Beck. But behind that fearsome exterior was a discreet man with a love for psychology and classical literature. He lived alone in a small house in Los Angeles, surrounded by military memorabilia and personal diaries. He never married and shared that a childhood filled with physical abuse and emotional neglect had left him unable to open his heart to love. On May 7, 2007, Nicholas Worth died of heart failure at Valley Presbyterian Hospital in Van Nuys at the age of 69. His net worth is estimated at around $500,000, including his home and a collection of military artifacts, pieces of a past he never truly escaped. George Gaines as Henry.